Before the Bible or the Quran was written, Africans had the oldest book in the world named the Egyptian Book of the Dead and the Papyrus of Ani, which was written before the Bible or the Quran. When the Jews came to learn in Egypt, remember, no Jew or Hebrew was enslaved in Egypt. Rather, they came to acquire knowledge in Egyptian temples and shrines from ancient African Egyptian priests. Now, when they came around 1700 BCE to learn in Egypt, they had to copy from this Egyptian Book of the Dead in order to write their Old Testament around 700 BCE. It is imperative to note that the book of Genesis was not the first book of the Bible. Rather, it is the book of Exodus. The arrangement was done in the Council of Antioch in 212 AD and in the Council of Nicaea around 325 AD under the Roman emperor named Constantine. The Egyptian Book of the Dead was first written on stones, walls, and pyramids, and later in papyri, believed to have been written by the great Egyptian pharaoh named Akhenaten. The fact is that everything in the Bible was copied from the original, which is the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and which is 10,000 years older than any religious book on earth. Before Jerusalem or Mecca, Africans had the first holy land in Egypt, in a place called Abydos. Africans all over Africa came to Abydos for pilgrimage in order to worship an Egyptian goddess named Isis and her son Horus, who existed over 5,000 years before the story of Mary and Jesus. We should not forget that the story of Cain and Abel was copied from the original story of Osiris and Seth. It is historically recorded that the first time a brother killed his brother was when an Egyptian god named Seth killed his brother Osiris. It was this story that was copied to invent and to produce the story of Cain and Abel in the book of Genesis. This same goes to the story of Jesus, which was copied from the story of Horus or Heru, an Egyptian god and the first Messiah to exist in the world before the story of Jesus. The story of Mary was also copied from the original story of Isis, who is the black mother of God. The story of creation in the book of Genesis was copied from the story of an African god named God Kunum, where on the wall of Egypt he is seen making man and his spirit in his potter out of clay. Even the 10 Commandments was copied from the 42 laws of Goddess Mahat, who is the goddess of justice, balance, and order. The book of Proverbs in the Bible was copied from the first written book in the world, written by an African named Ptah-hotep. This book is called The Teachings of Ptah-hotep. It is a book that is filled with wisdom. Africans must understand that the Greek god named Zeus was a god copied from Ethiopia in Africa. In Egypt, Zeus is called Ra, who is the sun god. They copied this black god and called him Zeus in Greece. That is why Homer, who was the first European or Greek to write a book in 833 BCE, titled the Iliad and the Odyssey, declared that even the gods Zeus and Apollo, these are Greek gods, that they were borrowed from Africa in Ethiopia. Around 1200 BCE, the people in Buddhism copied the Egyptian Book of the Dead to form their religious holy book. Around 30 BCE, the Romans invaded Egypt, ruled it for 600 years, and copied the Egyptian Book of the Dead and the myth of Osiris, Isis, and Horus in order to invent Christianity in 69 CE under the Roman Flavian family. It is the revolutionary moment for us to start writing our story and our history. We should know that according to Marian Makiba, the invaders write history. They came, they invaded, and they write. You don't expect people who came to invade us to write the truth about us and about our ancestors.